Alright guys, it's Corey Lee here, and today I want to talk a bit about how to repair a Godox AD200 200 watt second strobe unit. So when I got this unit from Amazon, it worked perfect. Um, and I tested it out for a bit. I had a chance to turn it on and off again, and then the very next day when it was about time for me to want to use it, it stopped working. And as you can see, I have my battery out. I have the battery out, and I also have some Gorilla Tape right here on the power switch, and that is to keep me from flicking the power switch ever again. So it's not that the flash unit didn't work. The power switch was failing to register and turn it on. I wish the power switch had failed to register to turn it off, but it just doesn't turn it on anymore, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. So I got this repair tip from a guy on a YouTube comment from another guy who was talking about the power switch problem, but it's like he explained it, but he didn't really. I don't know for sure if he ever created a how-to video on how to do it, because so many people were confused on what he was saying. And I think that it was time that somebody who was successful with doing it showed this to actually work. Let me turn this phone on silent. This is my poor little work phone that gets no love. So here we go. So as you can see, there's Gorilla Tape on the power switch, and I'm gonna put this in. Unit pops on. All right, so the unit, it turns on. It flashes. Let's even go to full power. Woo! It flashes. So there's no, there's nothing wrong with the flash, but I was trying to send this back to Amazon, and UPS was taking too long to pick it up. So I got a little restless and decided to repair it myself. I bought this used for around $240, and I was gonna send it back for a new one, but I read someone else's YouTube comment that they decided to upgrade to the Pro version, and then come to find out the Pro version ended up having the same problem. So regardless of whether you get a new one or not, it is going to have this problem eventually, just because of how it's designed. Whether you get this one, the standard version, or the Pro version. So enough talking. I'm gonna go ahead and take this apart. So I have a few items. I've got a little knife. It is better that you had some kind of jeweler's screwdriver, because there's a little tiny piece that's going to be the biggest deal. So let's go ahead and take this apart. A screw. Another screw. Another screw. And yeah, I do want to mention that I noticed that this flash unit was next to brand new, and I can almost bet you why they sold it to Amazon warehouse is because it probably had this issue, and You know, they probably got it working just good enough to be able to show that it worked and to be able to sell it to somebody. So before you buy a used one of these, just keep flicking the power switch on and off and on and off and see if you end up having that problem. So just be careful with buying used ones. As long as you know how to fix them and know that the trick to it is getting the power switch on and working right, and then putting Gorilla Tape on it to never use it again. And when you want to turn the unit off, just pull the battery out. And when you want to turn the unit on, just pop the battery back in. Most people will think that their flash unit is broken, and really, no, you just have a power switch issue. Everything worked right except a part that's no bigger than the nail on my pinky. Okay, so we got this all taken apart. I'm gonna pull this Gorilla Tape off right here. Well, I mean, I've got all the screws out. I'm probably gonna need some more Gorilla Tape. So I'm gonna do this, right? I'm just gonna show you. So I'm gonna put this battery back in. All right, so the unit works, right? So now let's turn it off just to see if this happens again, because after I fixed it, I noticed that the problem kept happening after I fixed it. So that's why I decided not to use the switch. It doesn't work. You see, it just don't work. And so now I'm required to have to go in there and fix it because I flicked the switch. It messed up all over again because it's wearing out. So now it don't work all over again. So regardless, I have to do this anyway. And I thought real long and hard about messing with this again, but I figured that this would make a really great, helpful YouTube tutorial. And I hope to God that I didn't mess this up permanently for this being my 4th time having to go into this thing and fixing it. All right, so just trying to get this open. All right, so there we go. So if you ever open this and fix it, put Gorilla Tape on the power switch and never ever use it again. So that way you won't have this problem. Like, that's the trick, is fixing it and never using the power switch again. That's the major trick. Ooh. Ah, man. All right, so I touched something that I wasn't supposed to touch. All right, so here we go. So let's go ahead and, well, I really don't want to do that, but I'm going to show you. So I don't want to undo that wiring harness. So like, I'm gonna bring my phone closer over here. So, you know, as you can see, I kind of slightly shocked myself on something. So you want to be real careful about this. And that was the first time this has ever happened to me. And it was on the bottom of the unit somewhere. I'm probably gonna not cut this out of this video because I want people to see it, so that they can be careful. So right here, wait, I'm getting ready to point to it in just a second. So right there, that is the power switch. Okay, you want to get, it's like a little tiny metal piece that you want to pull off the switch. You just don't want to pull the whole switch off, because there was a guy who was also on these YouTube comments who said that he ended up pulling the whole switch off that's soldered to the motherboard. He pulled his whole switch off and broke his unit completely. So let me try to get this down further so that way it's easier to see. And I'm not going to touch these capacitors anymore at the bottom, or else I'm going to fry myself to death. All right, let me move my phone. And I apologize that this video is not really the most, the most professional
tutorial or whatever, but I'm trying my best to show you guys something here. All right, there we go. So, right here is the switch. There's a metal piece that's on it. So, if you can tell, you know, there's a little black part right there. It's like a retaining clip of some sort. And that little gray part is the actual switch, but you want to be able to get this apart. The real thing you want to do is take this wiring harness off and that wiring harness off, but because I had a heck of a time doing it, I had a heck of a time trying to put it back on. I don't want to go through that again. So I'm gonna see if I can do this without pulling off that wiring harness, and hopefully I don't electrocute myself on this unit again. All right, so the switch here, you wanna pull off this little clip. Be careful not to break this clip, because this is what will flick the power switch on and off. So just go ahead and get this little, this little black part off. All right, so I got it off enough, but I'm just kind of, I'm just gonna kind of like leave it hanging like that. Let me see if I can bring this down more. All right, so let's bring this toward the middle. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so I've got the outer switch part. I'm trying to get that out of the way so that you can, well, okay, I'm just gonna leave it there. But the real thing is you want to get this, you want to slightly pry this brighter silver part off. So I brought this Cutco knife. It doesn't really matter. It's better to use some kind of small screwdriver of some sort, because these are very small parts and it's easy to mess something up. And hopefully I don't ruin this unit, by trying to do a video, because like I said, this is like my 4th time having to go in here and do this, because the switch continued to mess up over and over and over again. So I'm gonna, okay, I got that pried off. Now, if you look, I'm gonna show you. So this here, this little silver part, this little gray thing that was inside the silver part has 2 little metal, okay, so 2 little points that stick up, and those points get really flat and it can't register the power switch when you flick it. So you have to slightly bend these upward, and you don't want to bend them off. You just want to bend them upwards enough to where when you flick the switch again, you get that last piece of goodness out of it. And once you get the unit powered on for, just put Gorilla Tape on the switch. Don't ever use it again. And that way you have a working flash as long as you turn it on and off by removing the battery. And after a while, it kind of, it starts to get flatter and flatter the more you use it. Like, this was a terrible design for a power switch, and I can't believe a unit that is this useful and great has such a horrible flaw to it. It actually kind of makes me cringe, because it's almost like it's designed to break down at some point so that you can buy another one. I don't want to say that the company is doing that to people, But I mean, this is a very cheap design, and I'm just going to show you how to get it working. So that way you can enjoy your 8200 flash again. So now I'm getting ready to try to put this back together. And I just want to be honest, I'm not some kind of skilled electrician or anything. I really didn't know what I was doing when I went in here. As you can see, I just electrocuted myself not too long ago. But I'm not I'm not the most expert person to do something like this. So if you do have a background in repairing electronics, this might actually work out better for you than it did for me. I mean, for all I know, you might be able to fix the switch to make it work forever, but I don't know how. So now I'm just trying to pop this little silver part back on so that way I can put the retainer clip thing back in. And what I'm going to do once this is all back together is I'm going to turn the switch on and just put the battery into the unit to see if it works before I put it all back together. I'm sorry, I think I might have said that all backwards or whatever. Okay, so I got that silver part back on. Let's put the switch back in. Try not to move it as much. So I'm just trying to see what on or off is. So I'm guessing if this was the unit, what would be on or off? Let me see. So if this was the top, no, it doesn't say on here. Maybe it says on here. It don't really say on there either. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm gonna do this right. Oh, okay. So I actually got it backwards. So on would be up. So I just want to keep, all right, so if this was going this way, actually on would be down this way. So that's on. All right, so now, ooh, careful, dude. All right, so now I want to go ahead and try to get this halfway assembled at least. I don't know if that's the word, but I'm trying to record this without showing you my messy bedroom. But I'm gonna try to get this half assembled, and I need to find out what spot goes where. So this would probably be that top of the lid, which I don't really need. Okay, so this is going to be the bottom. And let's go ahead and get this back on. I'm really scared to do this. I mean, touch this again after I got electrocuted. So just kind of bear with me on how I just had to hold it. Because at first it didn't do that to me. I guess after, it's been working for a while, it'll start to do that. So it'll have a little bit of charge in it. All right, so I'm trying not to move that switch back in the off position because I want to keep it stuck on. And the reason why I want to keep it stuck on is because I want to be able to just pop the battery in. I want to just be able to pop the battery in and be able to tell if it's working or not. So I'm just trying to get this this part lined up in the front of here. Bear with me. All right, there we go. Okay, so the way you do this is you take the battery and you just push it on. All right, so the battery's pushed on, it's working. go ahead and reassemble the unit. I'm gonna have to let this be my last time ever touching this again. Okay, so I just had to bring this back down. Let me just try this one more time for heck's sake. And just to make sure that this is working again. Okay, it's working. All right, go ahead and pull the battery back off. So if you ever come across an AD200 that's broken and they want like 50 bucks for it, go ahead and buy it and do this, and I guarantee you it's probably just a power switch issue. And you got yourself a nice flash for the price of, you got yourself a nice flash for the price of the battery, pretty much. Alright, so let me go ahead and try to reassemble this. And I do want to say this. I'm going to stress this. Try not to do what just happened to me and touch the bottom of the motherboard where all those little electronic pieces are at, because you could really, kind of shock yourself the way I shocked myself. So now the power switch is still on. What you do is you get you a piece of Gorilla Tape just to remind yourself that you no longer have a power switch. Don't put the Gorilla Tape over the USB port. So now your Gorilla Tape is in place. Let's go ahead and screw this back together. And I'm going to show you how I just turned a broken AD200 into a working masterpiece of a unit all over again. But man, I just wish it wasn't designed so poorly on the inside, man. I mean, it has awesome software and firmware and technology or whatnot, but as far as the hardware, man, it's almost worthless on the inside, man. And because of stuff like this is why I almost went back and I sold a 2 Alien B strobes and a Vagabond mini battery pack so that I could go ahead and get into Godox lights, and I was going to get myself a couple AD200s. And stuff like this is why I thought about going back to Posse Buff. I'm like, I should probably just go back and get myself another buff unit. But then I thought, man, as long as it works, then I guess that's fine. Because there's nothing like the portability of a 200 watt second strobe that's slightly bigger than a speed light. And it takes its own internal battery pack that you don't have to keep lugging around. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this front piece back on, and I'm going to show you that this unit works. I apologize for all the talking I did. Just don't give me a thumbs down because of it. I just had to go through and explain to everybody what's going on. I know a lot of people would give you a thumbs down because they say, well, you took 3 minutes to get to the point. Well, you can't find another video on YouTube that's showing you this. I mean, the best thing I had to work with was a guy who tried it and it was hidden somewhere into a YouTube comment. I'm like, dude, that jewel of an information shouldn't just be a comment, man. But like I said, I'm not sure if there's a video out there that exists. I'm just telling you that I couldn't find an instructional video on how to do it. So I made one. I'm just trying to make sure I got this on right. All right. And I do appreciate that guy for going through all the trouble to type up that comment, man, because it's, if it wasn't for that guy's research on what happened, I probably wouldn't have had the information that I needed to be able to do this. All right, I'm just kind of having a little trouble with getting this perfectly aligned. Hold on a second. Oh, the problem is this unit isn't closed all the way. Yeah, so just make sure it's closed all the way, then you better get it perfectly aligned. And for my 4th time doing this, I'm surprised I didn't. All right, make sure your screws are going in right so that you don't strip anything and then, you know, be in a further hole than you already started. So if you spent the $300 or whatever for an AD200 and this happened, I guess the worst that can happen is you know, getting a slight buzz from touching the bottom of the motherboard by trying to fix it. With juice still in the capacitors. Because I don't know if this thing has an auto dump feature on it or not. Alright. And I'm going to show you with both heads that this thing powers back on and it works just like as good as new, man. So I got it all put back together. I'm gonna go in, attach the Fresnel head. I'll take my battery, stick my battery in. There we go. Working flash unit. All right, Fresnel head works. And let's get the bare bulb head. I may not have to go through this, you know, just to prove to you that it works, but all right, you know, just to show you that these all register and things like that. That works. All right, if you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and you can subscribe to my channel if you feel so inclined. This is Corey Lee. You guys have a good day.